What up, what up? Today we're breaking down a major moment in global trade. President Trump is working the chessboard, locking in new deals, and pushing China to the sideline. Let's get into what really went down and why it matters for the U.S., the economy, and yes, your wallet. I'm Wolf Kage, and this is Wolf Kage Los Angeles. Let's go.
With God's grace over these past 3 months, and we have had a great 3 months. They say maybe the best 3 months ever for a president. And I think there's a whole new spirit in our country.
So President Trump opened the week by calling the last 3 months some of the best ever for the U.S. president. He said there's a whole new spirit in the country and that world leaders are lining up to make trade deals. According to Trump, momentum is on America's side, and it's not just talk. Countries are actually showing up at the negotiating table, and they're ready to strike deals that finally favor U.S. interests. So what is Trump's message now? It's that America is done playing defense. It's finally time to lead the global economy once again. Check this out.
The table, in fact, today, and another one tomorrow, and on we go. It's Thursday. Good morning, everybody. Live in New York, I'm Bill Hemmer. How are we feeling over there?
Good. How are you?
Excellent.
Great. I'm Dana Perino, and this is America's Newsroom. On this Thursday, President Trump is set to meet with one of our top European allies, the Prime Minister of Italy. So the two are expected to talk trade. This after yesterday's talks with the Japanese delegation. The president touting big progress out of that one.
So today's spotlight. A face-to-face meeting with Italy's Prime Minister, Giorgia Meloni. The EU is hoping that Meloni could play a role in kind of being like the bridge builder, maybe even sway Trump into a 0-for-0 tariff deal. Meloni has been called a Trump whisperer for some time and shares a close relationship with the former president, but she's also balancing her own standing in Europe. This isn't just about pasta and diplomacy. No, it's about whether Europe can lock in a trade truce before Trump resets the global economic order.
Using the talks to further isolate China, asking a lot of their trading partners to limit the dealings that they may have in the future in exchange for relief on tariffs and a good deal with the U.S.
And House Republican Conference Chair Lisa McClain, she's on deck. But first, let's get to Alexandria Hoff. She's live at the White House. Hi, Alex. Good morning.
Hi, good to be with you. You know, from the European Union's perspective, Prime Minister Meloni is the bridge that they need. You've heard the term Trump whisperer being tossed around there. But the fact of the matter is Meloni and President Trump have a good relationship. Compliments have been shared. She actually even attended the president's inauguration. So the EU hopes that today's meeting will help sell the president on a 0-for-0 tariff deal that the EU has been seeking. Meloni, of course, is going to also want to preserve her own good standing. This morning, President Trump highlighted today's meeting and talks with other countries who have been driven to the table. He posted this morning.
So behind the scenes, Trump's strategy is razor sharp. Isolate China by building alliances. The Wall Street Journal reports the U.S. is offering favorable trade terms if partners agree to limit their future business with China. That's the deal. Japan, Italy, South Korea, each one could be a part of a trade network that reshapes who dominates global manufacturing. It's like building a dream team and telling China it can't sit at the cool table unless it plays by the new rules.
Had a very productive call with the president of Mexico yesterday. Likewise, they met with the highest level Japanese trade representatives. It was a very productive meeting. Every nation, including China, wants to meet today. Italy. Now, there was some surprise that the president was directly involved with the Japanese delegation who was in Washington yesterday because those talks were seen as preliminary. But the White House says it was important to the president. On China, the White House reiterated this.
The ball is in China's court. They need to do business with the United States. They need the best thing on the face of the planet, and that is the American consumer.
Well, Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell is concerned about dampened consumer spending and said tariff increases went beyond what banks were anticipating.
President Trump It's not wasting time, guys. Japan's top trade reps met with Trump in D.C. And what was supposed to be a preliminary talk quickly turned serious. Meanwhile, Mexico's president had what Trump called a very productive call. The goal? Make it clear that the U.S. is open for business, but on new terms. Even China, according to Trump, wants to talk, but this time the U.S. is in the driver's seat, and Trump wants everyone to know it. Check this out.
That are likely to move us away from our goals. So unemployment is likely to go up as the economy slows in all likelihood, and inflation is likely to go up as tariffs find their way.
Now, President Trump believes that interest rates should be cut. Now, the Federal Reserve Chair, he says that he wants some clarity on tariffs first, but how much time he has to wait is really put in question this morning as the president posted Powell's termination cannot come fast enough. Dana.
All right, Alex, thank you so much. Looking beautiful there in the White House sunshine. Thank you.
So let's bring in Michigan Congresswoman Lisa McClain, House Republican Conference Chair, and good morning to you. Let's get right into it. Here's Scott Bessent, Treasury Secretary, talking about those who go to the front of the line will get a better deal. Watch here.
I think there will be advantage to...
One surprising move, Trump personally attended the trade talks with Japan. Now, normally these meetings are for lower-level diplomats, but not this time. This tells us how invested he is in shaping these deals himself. When the president shows up at the table, it's a signal to every other country these deals are top priority, and they are not getting rubber stamped. Trump wants his fingerprints on every signature.
Our allies especially in a first mover advantage. Usually the first person who makes the deal gets the best deal. So
who do you think will be first?
It's their choice.
Japan, you got Italy today and South Korea tomorrow. Here's the issue about this whole idea about isolating China. There was a loophole from the trade deal USMCA in 2018, and the loophole was it allowed China to move factories into Mexico and then sell the products the Chinese made in those factories to the American consumer. And right now, this administration's they're trying to prevent that.
Now, here's the deal. Federal Chair Jerome Powell is waving the warning flag. He says that rising tariffs could lead to higher inflation, could lead to slowed growth and even a jump in unemployment. Powell argues that the economy might cool down just as we're trying to heat things up. It's a warning that's making Wall Street nervous. But is Trump listening?
Whether it's Japan or China or Italy or Germany, anyone else down the line, that they're willing to play ball with the U.S. on that deal and close forever that loophole.
My inclination is yes, and I think you've already seen actions towards that. President Trump, what he's trying to do, and we've talked about this over and over again, is trying to level the playing field honestly and move in the right direction, trying to close the loophole. Look, he's trying to bring manufacturing back to the United States and back to, most importantly, our allies, not our adversaries like China. And he's talking about it, but more importantly, people and countries are acting upon it. And that's the positive that you're seeing.
Obviously, the short answer is not really. Trump didn't like Powell's comments at all. He posted online that Powell's termination cannot come fast enough. Trump has long wanted to lower interest rates to fuel economic growth and support his trade strategy, but Powell is, for some reason, playing at a slower, more cautious pace. It's a clash of visions. Wall Street stability versus bold moves and big payoffs.
And if I can just say one more thing is, look at the state of Michigan. The state of Michigan is number 3 behind California and New York for manufacturing jobs lost. That's horrible for our state. That's horrible for our constituents. President Trump is fixing that. He wants to bring jobs back to the United States. And more importantly, for me, he wants to bring jobs back to Michigan.
So now we have Congresswoman Lisa McClain, and she's from Michigan, and she's backing Trump all the way. She points to a loophole in the USMCA that let China sneak in products through Mexico for whatever reason. Trump, she says, is closing that loophole, which I think is spectacular. And Michigan, which lost a ton of factory jobs, well, of course, they stand to benefit. McLean says this isn't just about politics. No, it's personal. She believes that these moves are already bringing jobs back and that patience now will lead to long-term wins for American workers.
To bring jobs back to Michigan. So we're actually excited and giving him some grace and patience on this.
The Chinese are not waiting around. They are also on a, I don't know if I'd call it a charm offensive, but they're going around, especially to Southeast Asia, saying, don't you want to cut a deal with us? They spoke to the Europeans yesterday, and they have cheaper goods to sell, right? We might have a better message. We might have a better deal for them, and Beston is saying, get to the table first. But yesterday, the Fed chairman warned this, that the impact of the tariffs will include higher inflation and slower growth. The president really didn't like that message from him and might not even want Jerome Powell to be around. Do you take the warning seriously from the Fed chair, or do you think he should go because he's not correct?
Listen, I have the full faith in President Trump, and the Fed chair can do what the Fed chair can do. And, you know, that is one potential outcome. But the other potential outcome that we're already see working is we see people already coming to the table.
But do not think that China is backing down. Of course not. They're actively making moves, talking with Southeast Asia. They're talking with Europe and anyone else who will listen. And what is their pitch? Cheaper goods and faster deals. But the U.S. is telling other countries, get to the table early and you'll get the best deal. Guys, it's a global showdown and everyone's picking sides, and they're picking sides fast.
Coming to the table. Look at what Japan is doing. Look at all the investments that are coming back into America. $5 trillion, and those investments means jobs, right? So there is going to be some short-term discomfort. There's no question about that as we resettle and get the playing field level. But it's kind of like working out. You're going to have some short-term discomfort for long-term health. We have to do things differently because we are tired of America being taken advantage of. And I have full faith in President Trump that he'll do that.
Now, back here at home, the conversation turns to, of course, taxes, as always. Some Republicans floated raising rates, then some of them quickly backed off. Senator Kevin Cramer even joked about the populism wave sweeping the GOP. But Lisa McClain made it plain. She is a solid no on any tax hikes. If the Trump tax cuts expire, the average person in Michigan could pay, get this, $2,400 more each year. The GOP's message is clear. Lower taxes, more jobs, and less dependency on government. Period.
This budget reconciliation idea, it's a stunning thing to hear Republicans even considering the possibility of raising taxes. From North Dakota, here is Senator Kevin Cramer, Republican. Here's what he said. He said, it's just so fun to be a Republican these days, just to watch the transformation where suddenly people are going. When you think about it, why do we worry so much about that? So whether it's allowing them to go up a little bit or even lowering some of the other stuff more, there's a populism growing in the party, even among those of us with powdered wigs. That last line's kind of cute, I thought, end quote. If Republicans don't lower taxes, who will?
Nobody. I mean, the answer to that question is really simple.
So why even consider or entertain the
the
possibility of raising the rate on some Americans?
Yeah, listen, I have no intention of raising the tax rates on anybody. The Republicans, we want lower tax rates. If we don't extend and make permanent these Trump tax cuts, it will be the largest tax cuts that the American people have to deal with in probably their lifetime.
So here's the takeaway. Trump's not just talking this time. No. He's maneuvering. Whether you love him or whether you loathe him, these trade deals are reshaping the economic battlefield. China, finally, is on notice. The world is listening. If you found this breakdown valuable, hit that like button, subscribe, and share with someone who still thinks tariffs are just taxes. Until the next time, I'm Wolf Kage, and this is Wolf Kage Los Angeles. Stay sharp, stay unwoke. Till the next time, peace.